to help us to employ more people. For me, it's a good one for the market and also for the economy.
All right, Eternal attorney the gainers, topping the losers chart. They actually brought half-year results, and it was fantastically bad, if there's anything English like that. So this is not surprising. I'm sure the market is just factoring the result into it. But like we know the market, a company brings a stock, all right, the market flogs it for a while, then it turns around again. Yeah. Right, so how low do you think this stock is going to get before it turns around? If it's ever been turned around so soon?
It will still go lower, because this stock, as for the past 2 years, have been on a downtrend. Because in 2008, they paid dividend. 2009, there was no dividend. And that 2009, they had the right account in their quarterly numbers. On that, investors are also looking away from that company. And not only that, you know that this COVID-19 has also hit the oil sector, where the market, the oil price hit as 21 years low, and that they are all struggling. And also, completely the economic activities that, because of this lockdown, people movement is also reduced, and people know a lot of cars are not on the road. Naturally, it's going to affect their sales. We can see the impact, but the company, for me, investors should just look away from it for now, I would advise, because there are other things you can play in the market than holding on to stock like Eternal Oil. Despite that, like about 2 weeks ago, sorry, they had a new MD, and the new MD will have to start planning. You can't say because they had a new MD to jump in. No, they might have to sit down, look at their business model before we can start seeing impact on the business. For me, look away from that for now. Especially now, oil sector are struggling. But for stock like me and Baker, that is still on that research, it's an opportunity to buy at a lower price. You know that the sector is having attention now. Take that advantage, buy now, because in equity investment, is buy low and sell high. And
if you want to sell.
If you want to, even though you are an investor, when you get it at low price, when you go, you are just calculating your appreciation. Even though the dividend, when they come, your yield will be high because you enter at a lower price. It's good to buy low, whether you are a trader or investor.
Long-term investor. Yeah. All right, thank you very much, Ambrose. Of course, for those that markets or those that have been there, and it's just a case of somebody did it and I just want to do it, right? So let's talk about what investors, potential current, need to consider before buying stock. We know that there are basically two classes of portfolio if you want to run it: the one you want to use for trading, and the one for long term, maybe for the sake of capital appreciation or dividend.
You can have different portfolios
for different purposes.
Exactly.
But there are basic things you actually need to put in mind before you begin to buy.
Exactly.
So run us through those.
The first thing is that either we call it a financial planning or financial goal or trading goal, investment goal. First of all, you must have that goal. That goal will now guide you kind of stocks that will meet your goal. Because if you are following bad wagon to invest, people that lost their money in 2008, 2009, it's because they are all doing bad wagon investment. Or my friend works in bank, he bring the bank shares for me, I will buy. No, you just follow. No, if you see that, okay, I want to achieve this, then the kind of stock you want to buy. For example, now you are a long-term investor. Oh, I want to go for good stock. No, that means you have a goal already. That goal now leads you kind of stock. But if you're a trader, I want to speculate. The kind of stock you used to speculate. That one, they okay. Oh, I'm a dividend investor. Oh, I want to go to blue chip company that I know that dividend will come regularly. That is one. Another one, you now move down. Once you have set a goal, that goal now tell you, okay, are you going for long term? After that long, you say, what is my risk factor? Will I be able to, okay, what is my age? No, you don't know what is my source of fund. You know all this because if you are, your age is about 50 and above, don't you take risk the guy of 25 age will take?
That means a lot of risk. So people just like living on the edge.
No, if you are 55, 60 years old and they are paying your pension, you want to go and do forex investment, you are on your own. No, I was on a training about 3 days ago now. The girl that came to that training, she's about 28. No, she was the youngest. Now I had to ask question online. I asked, what is the only deal? He said, oh, she started investing at the age of 15. And it's not in Nigeria, it's in the US, that she lost $15,000 on forex. Since then, she said, no.
You kept on, I'm sure you'll be asking yourself, if I lose $15,000 right now.
She decided to readjust her investment objective. She said, why will I more? Because there was no goal initially. And I said, no. My age, I should know what I should do. And I'm looking at 28. He said she had to run and follow her goal. Now she started going $5,000, just $500 to about almost 4,000 naira in less than 2 years. So when I said with just 5, that means if you have the goal, you're a trader, this is what to do. You can do kind of stock you buy. If you're a long-term investor, you can buy and wait because your time is, your time horizon is long. And as I mentioned, age is key because age also will determine your kind of risk you can absorb. Because if you don't want to, if you are too you are an old man, you can also look at the role of bond, the role of treasury bill. But the guys like us that are young, especially, we need to make money. We trade. You trade because you look at the charts. You know, you trade chart to know when to buy low and sell high. Then another one is that you need to understand the business cycle of a company, and the economic cycle too is very important, because the business cycle will tell you, oh, this sector will do well in this economic cycle. Oh, this one will do well, because when interest rate is high, automatically there will be low yield. You should know where you should be at that particular time. And when interest rate is high, it tell you that, oh, we are only entering economy as becoming a contraction of the economy. You should know, okay, I should move to another sector. That also, look at a business that is just starting, it's a new business. We know what is happening in the economy now. But people are still looking in the world of healthcare, looking in the world of agro-business, because that sector numbers are different. They are coming up. If you are holding on to, oh, let me hold on to oil company, I'm a long-term investor. You hold there, no dividend for you. But you know the sector it is. You now change your portfolio, rebalance it, and move to the next one. That's why you need to have a goal. That goal will now lead you towards your risk tolerance, lead you to the economic cycle, the business cycle. What that is doing, what we call post-trade analysis is key. Now, people that lost money in 2008, 2009, most of them are still nursing their wound because they lost money. But if you have sit down and analyze why you lost money, it's easier for you, because if a child is running and the child fall, the child stand up and start running. But if an adult is running, when an adult fall, you want to see why he or she is on the ground. That means when you trade and you lose money, it's for you to do what we call post-trade analysis. Where have I done something wrong? Where is the mistake here? Once you're able to do that, your next trade will be better. But people, once they lose money, they pack their load and go back. And that's the market who lost money. That's the market that will give you money. But because they don't want to learn. That's why people say, I tell you that once you are learning, but if you learn more, you earn more. But once you are not learning, how are you going to cope up with what is happening in the economy or in the market you're playing? Any business you want to do in Nigeria, anywhere, you have to have knowledge. That's why if you're investing in the stock market, follow this step I've just mentioned, and also go for knowledge, information, because we trade news in the equity market. Because it's news that once result is coming and people say it's good, they want to buy in. Then you know what to position before the results come to the market. You know, you need to understand how the market operates, the dynamics of the market. Once that is done, that's a good place to make money. Not until you earn, you do business, you earn 20 million, you now plug back that 20 million to that same business, you are not doing yourself a favor. Once you are earning money from one source, diversify your source of income. Put some in equity market so that no matter how small, even though you are earning 50,000, don't plug back because your business is to expand. The more expanded that business, the day that business will go down, you go down with the business. But if you are investing elsewhere and generating funds for you, people will say as if you are doing magic. No, it's because you have opened your eyes to see where you can send your money and money is bringing back for you. That's how to really do business. Even though on your one-man business, make profit, don't plug everything back to that business. No matter how small or how big it is, you need to know how to send some part of your profit to another investment window.
Thank you very much, Ambrose, for the detailed explanation. Thank you very much. All right, and that's all we can take on the segment, the stock market segment. We're going to another segment, that's a business segment, where we talk to you about why your business is actually different from you. Your business is an entity and it needs to actually stand alone. And we're talking about registering your business with the Corporate Affairs Commission. All of this after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's still the Profit Point Show, and This segment, we're talking about business. Case in point, registering your business. Why you have to register your business. What does it even mean to register your business? We're talking about registering your business at the Corporate Affairs Commission. That's the one we're talking about, and why you need to. And joining me on this segment is Dr. Gbenga Adeoye. Dr. Gbenga Adeoye is a management consultant and a guru when it comes to CAC and everything relating to registering business. Good morning, sir. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
All right. Let's begin by explaining what it even means to register a business.
Well, you have to go back to the history of business registration. It started about 165 years ago in England, where you have the Joint Stock Companies Act of 1855. But you know that the British colonized Nigeria, and so we needed to inherit all their laws. And these are called the Statutes of General Application, all laws that have been in existence up to 1900. And so, but at a time in the country, whenever you have issues with business name, registration, and rules, they needed to travel back to England to get clarification on what to do. So they then promulgated Company Ordinance of 1912. But at that time, Lagos was the capital of business, and so it was only applicable to Lagos Colony. So when the North and Southern Protectorate were merged together as Nigeria, then it became applicable to the whole country. Another modification came in 1917, and then another one in 1922. But in Britain, another law came up in 1948. And so we now have the Companies Act of 1968, which rely on what the British has done in 1948. And then there was a need to have an agency of government handling registration. A lot of defects in the 1968 Act, which was a follow-up to what they have in England, 1948. And so there was a Law Reform Commission set up, and it was headed by Honorable Justice Olakunle Orojo. His Lordship headed that body in 1987, and then they came up with this Company and Allied Matters Decree then in 1990, and then it became Company and Allied Matters Act of 1990. And so that created the Corporate Affairs Commission that we have today. And so every entity, apart from you as an individual that want to operate business in Nigeria, has to register with the Corporate Affairs Commission. So that's the history in a nutshell. Now, what does it mean to register? There are three types of registration. You have the business name, you have the limited liability registration, and then you have registration as a trustee. So that's the summary of what this is all about.
Interesting. Thank you very much, Doctor. Okay, so you've made mention of three types.
Yes.
As a business owner, how do I decide which one suits me?
Now, it's advisable to start small, and then you can grow later. And this also depends on what you want. If you really want other people to join you as an investor in your company, then you cannot register a business name. But if it's for the purpose of your entity, then it's good to register a business name. And it's so cheap to do this. And so all you need to do, you can even do it on your own. You can approach a lawyer, a chartered accountant, chartered secretary to do it for you, but you can also do it on your own. The first is to decide the name you want the business to be known for. So that you do what we call availability. You check whether there is a name like that before, or whether this name can be approved. If your name poses danger to the country, it's not going to be allowed. For instance, if you call your company name and say cocaine dealer, drugs, we call it abusive name, unacceptable name. So that's business name. And then you do your registration. You can be the sole owner of the business. There could be other partners with you. You can also register partnership in this regard. However, for the professionals, lawyers, accountants, surveyors, architects, if you want to really do as a professional, they do not allow you to register as limited liability company. You come under this business name. The best you can be is to have it as partnership. So that's that. The second one is the limited liability company, whether limited by shares or limited by guarantee. It can also be private limited and it can be public limited. When it is public limited, you have the right to sell your shares to the public. So you can advertise in the newspaper, prospectus can be sent out. But when it is private, you can only do private placement to people that are known to you. And so the difference between the public and the private is that the public is for everyone to take part. Like the section you had earlier about the stock market. If you are not a public company, you cannot sell your shares in the capital market. So the other one has to do with non-for-profit registration. Maybe you have a club, you have an association, you have a church, whatever it is, you need to register under the trusteeship arrangement. We call it Part C of registration, where you, this entity cannot own assets, but the trustees can hold them in trust. And a number of advantages for registering an entity.
Thank you, Doctor. So you said something about starting small. Does it mean that if I decide to own a sole proprietorship business and I grew and I want to make it a limited liability, I can just, same name, I just apply?
Of course, you just upgrade to limited and you fulfill the requirement, which has to do with you need to pay stamp duty on share capital. If it's 1 million share capital, 2 million, 10 million, depending on the size of your company. And then you pay filing fees to Corporate Affairs Commission. So you are allowed to upgrade. As a matter of fact, because you have that name as a business name running, the Corporate Affairs Commission is not going to allow any other person to use that name. That's one thing. So anytime you feel good to upgrade, you can actually upgrade.
Okay. For those doing business, so we know what sole proprietorship is, and why will I want to do sole proprietorship? And why will I want to upgrade? Is there benefit to being a limited liability company over just business name?
It all depends on what you seek, you get. It all depends on what you're looking for, actually. It also depends on the kind of spread you want for your company. You can have a business name that's spread across the country, but you will not be able to attract capital from anybody because there is no allotment in business name or this partnership. But when you are registered or incorporated under limited liability arrangement, then you can have a share capital of a given amount, and you can ask people to join you to do this business by investing in the business. The other thing is that you may run the business for some years and you feel that you want to revalue the business, and you say that this is my business worth so amount, and you are saying if you are interested you can bring so much. My shares is 100 naira per unit, and maybe it was 1 naira when you were doing your registration, the nominal price, and then you can push it and say it's 100 naira now if you are interested, and so that's the advantage. The other thing is that every entity that is registered is actually different from the owners. And that's where we talk about the veil of incorporation. Every entity that you register has a veil, and this veil covers your company. And so if I'm looking at you, I'm not going to be looking at you as if I'm looking at the company. The company is on its own and you are on your own. The company can sue, the company can be sued. And that's what we call corporate personality, which originated from the case of Solomon versus Solomon. Every person that has studied business law or law as a degree will tell you that's the foundation. So that's the advantage.
Okay. Some people, especially people that the blue-collar jobs, right? Some of them feel that if the moment they register a company, then government can come after them for tax. But if they're using their personal accounts to run business, government can't come after it. So they see it like an advantage
For not
for
registering.
not registering the business. And they can't really see the advantage for registering the business. I mean, I am my business is me. I'm not looking for partnership. I'm just allowing me and myself.
The disadvantage is enormous if you don't register the business. Number one, you mentioned the tax issue. If you allow business proceed to come into your account as a person, what it means is that you file your personal tax returns and you have declared the salary you earn where you work. Maybe you work at Ogtv channels or whichever station you work. Now, every other money that comes into your account, the government has a right to issue you an additional assessment to tax you that you have other income that you did not declare. Meanwhile, in your tax return, your expenses have been made clear what you spend. So if you don't register, you also lose your brand. For instance, if you are doing something and then like maybe the person's name is Charity T-shirt, Charity something, whatever, any name from your office here, nobody is going to know you with this business. And another person can actually go to register it and you won't have a right. You can also not take contract supplies, business transaction, in that your personal name most of the time. Because when advert is placed, there are conditions. You find it there. The applicant must be a limited liability company or a professional firm, partnership, and all of those. So you cannot come out and say, I, as a person. And you also mentioned that when you registered, tax people would pursue you. As a matter of fact, if you have not commenced business, you are not going to be paying taxes. And with what is happening in the country now, there are new laws that are helping small businesses. If you do business and your income in a year is less than 25 million, you are exempted from paying value-added tax. If you are a business name, you are not expected to pay education tax and company income tax. You are not expected to file audited account. So, what are you talking about? As a matter of fact, your income in that business, which is a business name, is taxable in your hand, whatever profit you get from that transaction, which is what you ought to declare as additional income when you are filing your tax return. However, we have what we call conflict. Civil service rules is there. If you are working with government, you cannot combine it with any other thing except farming. Therefore, you can register something that has to do with farming. The civil service rule is not going to be against you if you are into agriculture. And farming business is exempted from almost all available taxes that you can think of when it is business name.
Interesting. Okay, so what do we need? Documents that we need to actually register
Business
so,
name.
yeah, business name, limited liability.
Actually, what you need first is you yourself as a person. You know, you as a person. And that has to do with you know what you want. You need the name you want because your picture is needed. Somebody wants to see your face. And also your ID is necessary so that if there is a need to lift the veil of incorporation, we'll be able to say it's Mr. A or B that is behind this entity. So you need your name, the ID, and then sometimes the address that you want for this business. And within a very short time, you can register a business name, either on your own or through a consultant to do it for you. Okay. And it's so cheap to do.
How long does this take? 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
As a matter of fact, the law permits that you can do your registration in a day, express, because as we speak, Corporate Affairs Commission, they have computerized almost all their operation. But what affected them was that they did a switch to online immediately without running a parallel line like we have in other African countries when they were switching, Ghana, Egypt, and all of them. When they were switching from manual to online, auto, they were running, parallel line. So, but having said that, if you can place your name search today, you get your reply by evening or latest tomorrow. So once that name is approved, then you are expected to fill in the form of registration where you put your name, your address, the nature of business, if you have branches, and then after that, you are meant to upload the document where you have your ID. And this form that you have filled, once it is fine, you are also meant to pay online to your ATM card. So once you pay, you download the document, get it signed, put your passport photograph, you upload it. And then once your certificate is ready, you get an email. But if you're an accredited agent of Corporate Affairs Commission, like some of us who are in practice, we have a dashboard where we can log in. And then if we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 clients, we can see if this client is already registered. So you see the RC number or registration number, then you know it's ready. Then you take all these documents, physical ones, to Corporate Affairs Commission to pick your certificate.
Okay, so this online portal, that's Corporate Affairs Commission's website.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for explaining a lot to us. You know, I hope that people watching will be able to register their businesses instead of just assuming that, well, it's just a small business, I'm just doing it back of my house, don't worry.
They're even going to lose. Somebody else is going to take over
With
that
the name.
business and the name if you don't register.
All right. Thank you very much, and thanks for coming.
My pleasure.
All right. This brings us to the close of this segment. We're going into the sectorial segment where we're going to be reviewing the agri sector, case in point, cassava, and the processes involved. All of this after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's still the Prophet's Point Show, and on this segment we are talking about the agri sector. Case in point, cassava. Well, cassava is a soup crop that virtually everybody have idea what it is. I don't need to explain so much what cassava is. But then, there are a lot of products that you can actually get from cassava itself. Move it over to the food part, talk of gari, fufu, cassava flour, plantain, the chips, and so many more. Then move over to animal feed, the pellets and other semi-processed animal feed. There's virtually no animal feed that doesn't have cassava involved. Then to the industrial part, talk of starch for pharmaceutical companies that pharmaceutical companies use, the one for alcohol, starch, the one we use in our homes. A lot of things you can actually use starch for, and starch is from cassava. Let's talk about things that doesn't directly relate to the cassava itself. We talk of storage, talk of the back end, the accounting system, the inventory system, the security, talk of equipment, supply, a lot of processes. And for each of this process, you can actually go into business. As in, any of this process can just be a business that you can go into. Now, there are a lot of things you need to put in mind before going into any business generally, irrespective of cassava or whatever it is. Of course, you have to be knowledgeable. You need to know what you're doing. You need to know the ups, the downs, the trends. And so for you to get further information when it comes to cassava, you might need to visit or contact FIRO, that is Federal Institute of Industrial Research, Oshodi, that's in Lagos. You can visit the Raw Material Research Council, also in Lagos. Then we have the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture in Ibadan. So these places, they will give you full information when it comes to statistics. But here, we just want to enlighten you on the kind of businesses that you can actually do when it comes to cassava. It's not limited to Gary. As a matter of fact, there will always be more demand, most times, than supply of cassava. Now, when you also come to cassava, you can focus on domestic or export it out. There's a lot you can do when it comes to cassava. You can have a farm, right? And all you do is just lease it out for people that want to plant cassava. So that is also an area. You can choose to take care of security, like I said earlier, and the people working in the farm, how secure are they? That's one of the challenges that people running farms actually have. How secure are they when it comes to the cattle bearers coming to eat up the crops or attack here and there? You can take up the security arm of it and help farms to actually tackle this problem. Now, I still have Ambrose Omodi on the show, and we're going to talk about the challenges that actually that you can encounter when it comes to cassava, because there's no way we want to do review, then we're not going to talk about the challenges. Okay, so welcome again, Ambrose.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining. So the first challenge that actually came to my mind is the weak link amongst the process. So take, for instance, the person, the farmer that is cultivating the cassava, he needs to move it to the site where it's going to be processed. Now, from that place to this place, the link is weak. A lot of times, the ones that actually want to process it, the industrial ones, they need a lot. Yeah. But you see that on this side, you are having fragmented farmers here. Yeah, a lot of them are producing just for themselves, and they now sell excess. So to even store it before they move it from here to here, a lot of wastages are there. Now, we cannot call on government to do everything. Apparently, government can't do everything. But what do you think we can actually do to resolve this weak link?
You know, as you just said, government cannot do everything. But government can provide a level environment for things to run. You know, in a developed economy, you can't see government doing everything. But when the environment is conducive, who can do business? Let's start from this small parts of farms for individuals. You know, when we are not doing commercial business, commercial farming for cassava, we know that cassava is nearly, we need it in every aspect of life. It's a great job, a lot of things, but it's a sector that if government really want to create employment for Nigeria, or that is really they should encourage farmers, you know, to come in, even graduate that has information can come into this sector. But because that, you know, farming in Nigeria is not conducive for people, people say, but that is why I see pockets of small, you know, fighting just for their own belly, just do small, local subsistence farming here and there. But if there is industrial farming, that link you are saying that is leaking, that is lacking, will be there. Because when an industrial man that want to move from a commercial farm, want to move to processing, they've already a business for that man. They might be ready to, you know, to accept him. But when you are bringing in, you know, in parts, you know, the guy will not be ready because that will not be fetching enough of money for him to start business. That means we need to encourage people to go into their farm first. When they are from there, they see a lot of business. You mentioned both agriculture, both pharmaceutical, a lot of things to do from the cassava. For me, government should give us, you know, an enabling environment for it. For example, let me not just say something like this, but let me just say, if you look at how CBN just you know, suspended what is called forest for maize without preparing for the action. As we speak now, many, you know, companies that are into farm are complaining because if you want to do any feed, you need elements of corn in that, and those corn are not available. The price of all these poultry farm, we are complaining here and there because there is no feed to feed their for their fowls or their birds. For me, for us to really make Nigeria function well and agriculture become attractive, this area will need, you said this, we need security. But farmers are afraid to go to farm because when you're in a farm, the animal will come and destroy your crops after you have spent money on it. No, a lot of things to do. But the good news is that, as you just said, if you want to go into cassava farming, have knowledge of what you want to do first. Start from, let me start from a small starting small is not bad, but have a plan to expand it. And when you expand it, you have to get loan, to get bigger land, to plant more. When you get to get bigger land, then you have credit to buy more seed to plant. Once that you can see that the man on that side, the industrial is set already, because when this is coming in life, he won't tell you it's not ready, because he knows that when it comes, it's another business entirely for him. Then the next step again, another business. You have circle this chain of the cassava chain, creating employment for Nigeria. I think that product alone, that aspect of farming is where we should put attention, and government should look the way of that.
Okay. Another challenge at top of there is training. The thing is, what you don't know, you just don't know. If all you know is how to cultivate using your normal cutlass and all, that's just what you know. Even if you know there's something called tractor, where do you get it? Because the first thing that comes to your head is, I don't have money to rent it. Why do I even need a tractor? It's just something small. And as much as we're saying government, like I said, government can't do everything. But then I feel if people are more trained and educated, and when I say trained and educated, I'm not even talking more in the direction of the rural area. They already know what it takes to plant cassava. I'm talking of you and I, the white collar people that just believe that I need to just get a job and go to the office and just work. There has to be AC and lights, If we can be educated or re-educate or rejig our thinking,
yes.
Because when you talk about farming, what comes to your mind is dirty, tiring. I'm not in the mood for that stress. If there is a way we can package it to look attractive, so that when someone is saying, I want to do business, I won't be saying I want to be a financial analyst.
I said it that, you said something that government cannot do, but government cannot come and tell me what to do, but give me an environment that, for example now, I said if security is in the farm, people will still go, but now people are leaving farm to go and do that because they are not secure. That's why this is anywhere in the world, the primary assignment of any government is to provide security for its people. If there is security in the farm, people will go back to the farm. I'm telling you, number of people now, as I speak now, because of this COVID-19, about 68% Nigerians are unemployed. If there is farm, they can move to that because there is already market for your product. We don't need to go and do more marketing before you get it. First, they just know how to push your product. We need to have a working environment. Even I'm happy that our Bank of Agriculture is coming up again. People can have access to credit to do this. It's not like government, no, but if I know if I go to the Bank of Agriculture, I can have credit to do it. You cannot present the paper, but if you go there, you don't know what to do, or if you didn't attend to you because it's not there. It's just officially just waking up. For a long time, I had about Bank of Agriculture, but now I can see that they are coming up here and there. It tells me that they are waking up to their responsibility. Let them go out also to educate people. Let me tell you, education is not about you go to university and stay for 4 years in one class until you are getting your BS. That's not only education. Educate them how to do all these processes. Before they know it, under 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they go and practice it. I think one of my friends in China said, if you want to do things in China, 2 weeks, 1 week, after that training, you go and practice it. You become better. The next day, you go another one. But here, we think until all of us go to one university, I'm not saying I'm not against that kind of education, but we need a way of teaching people how to do these things easily and they start from somewhere than waiting until I go to one university and take 4 years. That is how I said that our education system in this part of the world, we need to also sit down and think and put it way that it will empower Nigerians. As we speak now, there are many graduates that are on the street, even the kind of work, what they study, there's no job availability anywhere for them to they just run about. If they have other ideas, other skills, they can go into farming, into other things.
Okay, thank you, Ambrose. Well, I know you when it comes to stock markets, that is your talk. But let's look at some agri-sector companies, some companies that are in the agri-sector of the market, and let's compare it to cassava. We've got Okomo oil, that's oil.
Doing well.
Prisco is also oil.
Doing well.
Yeah, doing well. So I'm just wondering what kind of model such companies actually put in place, because it's also a Greek. Maybe we can actually emulate it for cassava. And then have big companies.
Model there and start.
How do you think we can do this? I think the thing is, how do we change our mindset that cassava is meant to be a substantive crop instead of industrial crop? So how do you suggest we do that?
It's knowledge first, like what we are just discussing here, they are listening. No, it's knowledge. If you have information, you know that this is beyond just a bar. That it is beyond it. Then you can, when you are doing into commercial farming, you're already thinking the process goes. You know that you're going to get multi-products from this cassava, you now plan that multi-product will also enhance your profitability at the end of the day. That means you need to understand it. First of all, you said knowledge is power. If you really want to, we need to seek knowledge, and also let government or all I put it, individuals provide and help people to get this knowledge. When they have that knowledge, they can start thinking and move. And this opportunity for the world to do it. Now that we are seeing that job is not there, people have to go back to the farm. You can export all these things. We use for pharmaceutical, a lot of things around cassava. For me, I think this is the time we should. And also, as you just said, look at the companies that are listed on the we can't see any
livestock is livestock
into feed.
Feed, yeah.
Which I know that is part of cassava too.
Frisco is oil. Opomo is
the other one is FTN cocoa. FTN cocoa is,
And you look at these crops; they are not even. They're not crops
they take long period.
Yeah, they take long period. So I'm wondering why we can't have a company as big as this one's going into cassava. I'm not saying we know that cassava is into many parts, alcohol, starch, a lot, right? But having a company that takes it off from the beginning
and finish. It's possible with time. I think like people, many companies are not diversified. For instance, many companies are going into agriculture. They have other business that are to agriculture. They know why they are doing so, because that is where the things are moving to. Even you can export things out and you make money. For me, the government should also encourage people that have that mindset, because when you don't have the finance to do all this, at times it will be very down. Once you have the knowledge, idea, and you present it and you're able to explain yourself, you get assistance, because we really need kind of business that you start from the beginning. Before it will employ a lot of people in that chain. A lot of Nigerians will be engaged in that chain. There are people who will be in the farm, planting, there are people that will be harvesting, there are people that will process, people that will be separating. You have machine that will, for me, to keep the company running, for 24 hours in 24 days, because from growth, from planting, see activities all there. For that thing, for me, it's a good business that even the government can even set up such business, not individual. Government can set up such business.
I'm with you on government.
Because they have the money now. As you speak now, I tell you, government has fun to play around. Apart from our oil price is struggling now. This government, if anywhere in the world, government is the highest spender. If you can read your economics, let them go and encourage Nigerians and give us finance to do all this business. Once that thing is put in place, things will run. And I'm telling you also, our mindset needs to be changed. Exactly.
Mindset is key, because even if government decides to put all the enabling environments, if your mindset is not changed, how do you want to, and the only thing you see when you see cassava is just the debts. That's what you see. Or you just say, what do I want to do, selling Gary, then you begin to see market remaining. When you begin to see in a bigger scale, there's a lot you can, from tapioca, cassava flour, in fact, they are trying to substitute cassava flour for bread making now, instead of wheat. So if you look at it from that angle, you will begin to see beyond. And I think it's because of the way cassava is as a product. Okay, take palm oil, for instance. I mean, palm oil is just palm oil.
Yes.
How many products can you actually get from
that palm?
So it's just oil. But when it comes to cassava, the major one is palm oil. But when you talk about cassava, there's so many major
you can get from it.
So on its own, because of the derivative product that you get from cassava is already fragmented, right? But
that fragmentation also creates opportunity for
bigger companies. So bigger companies as fragments. Okay, let's look at the role of Bank of Agric. There is Bank of Agric, right? We keep saying government. Like I said, government can do it alone. How is Bank of Agric? I mean, do you think Bank of Agric, for instance, should create more awareness? At least they are going to benefit if people come to take loan. But if I don't even know that you exist, a lot of people when it comes to business, they think of Bank of Industry. But there's also Bank of Agric.
You know what you said, in this part of the world, especially education is a problem, both for the part of the organization and the public to education. I told you earlier that when I was in South Africa, that I was in a hotel, I just rolled out, I saw some banks doing education for their people, tell the importance of banking. Nothing stopped Bank of Agriculture doing the same. No, if we have 6 worker zones in Nigeria, start educating them, importance of what your role, start from your role, what we can provide for you, what we can, then you have to teach them what they can learn and what they can do. And once you tell them what they can do, they can decide from what you are telling them where to go. If you are teaching me how to do cassava, how to do cashew nut, or the one I know that is profitable for me, I can go. And you are the one that taught me, like what we're doing all this apprentice here and there, you are the one that you know that, oh, I have the knowledge, you can give me funds to go and start and you monitor. And that's why some of these banks that are not into lending money, that do profit sharing.
James Bank.
These are the kind of business they do. Once they invest in you, the motor you are doing, they share idea with you, they bring you knowledge to help you run that business. The same thing can be adopted in this kind of situation, where the Bank of Agriculture can also, farmers, then will lend you, then we'll train people that are our staff, that can see what the farmers are doing. Also, but today we have a lot of agri-extension graduates that are from different schools, agri-extension. They can also be employed to go to the farm and educate people how to plant, because I'm telling you, don't only just planting, there's also risk. I know that attach anything you're doing, even some challenges. If you can plant, disease can affect the cassava. How can you prevent such diseases? Time to plant, the right time to plant. That's why you need to understand the area. That's why knowledge is key, as you just said. Knowledge is key. Understand any business you are entering, you must have knowledge. You can't do trial and error in the business that you want to succeed. You must have knowledge of what you are doing. Also, you keep learning. That's not just because you have knowledge 20 years ago or 10 years ago. No. Things are changing. Go with that trend and educate yourself more so that you become relevant at any time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ambrose. So, for more information when it comes to Greek, you want to learn more. I mean, when it comes to cassava, you want to learn more. Like I listed earlier, you can visit FIRO, that's Federal Institute of Industrial Research, Oshodi in Lagos. You can visit Raw Materials Research Council in Lagos too. And then the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture in Ibadan. They all have websites, so you can actually do it at the comfort of your home. You can get all the information that you need. And when it comes to funding, I think Bank of Greek is actually the place you should visit. Just go there and just ask what can they do for you. And then don't forget that cassava can never go out of fashion. We always consume it. Yes. It's a food that cuts across all generations and all sectors too. Thank you very much. This brings us to the end of today's episode. Ambrose, thank you once more for coming. For inquiries and partnership, you want to sponsor this show, you want to place adverts on this show, you can reach us on the number 0809 999 1832. I take that again, 0809 999 1832. Thank you very much. This show returns same time next week, same station, of course, Ogtv, same day, Thursday, 11 a.m. to 12. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.
This is to inform the general public that in response to the effect of COVID-19 pandemic, the state governor, Prince Dapo Abiodun MFR, has graciously approved the following tax reliefs: extension of deadline for filing of 2019 income tax returns by self-employed individuals and the informal sector from March 31st to September 30th, 2020, and a complete waiver of interest and penalty; extension of filing of 2019 annual pay year returns with a complete waiver of interest and penalty of same from January 31st to September 30th, 2020. Late remittance inheritance of monthly payee also enjoys this waiver. Waiver of weekly tax for operators and promoters in pools and betting business from April 1st to June 30th, 2020. Video conferencing has been adopted for Tax Audit Reconciliation Committee meetings. For inquiries, log on to www.ogunstaterevenue.com or our Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter accounts. Hotlines 0806 024 0778, 0807 058 0651. Announcer, Chairman, Ogun State Internal Revenue Service.
This is what happens when we elect public servants and don't tell them what to do for us. Voting is not the end. It is just the beginning.
Dab. Yes. One day as I did dab, they go. Now I see my neighbor on top electric pole. No be how my hold so.
Before, so
Climb every day. Come on, electric bill. You not gree pay.
waiting concern you for there. I beg you, come over here.
Government property, now my property. If you don't come down now, I go report.
No be only report. Now report card.
Okay, oh.
Dab, 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 dab.
Fellow Nigerians, do you know that constituency projects are actually your projects? Do you know that constituency projects are funded by the federal government? Do you know that you can track release of constituency project funds for projects located in your constituency and follow up to know how they have been executed? Constituency projects happen because government does not want to leave any community out in development efforts. You have a responsibility to know what constituency project has been planned for your community, how much has been allocated for it, and whether value for money has been delivered. Take ownership of constituency projects located in your community. Protect them because they belong to you. Government knows about your needs and is planning for you. Government needs your help to ensure quality delivery. Know that constituency projects are actually your projects. Protect your constituency project. My constituency, my project.
For information on funds allocated to projects in your constituency, call 0800 2255 4272.
This message is from the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission and the National Orientation Agency.
I just want the papers, please.
Sir.
Salary don't enter. Yes, so and month never even reach self. Na salary plenty, oh. No wonder I no gree collect roja from my hand. Shut up, sir.
I'm here to bail my younger brother.
Happen.
With good laws,
proper funding,
training, and cooperation,
if it happen.
Committee for the Federal Government of Nigeria Special Works Program has rolled out participating application forms to be distributed in 236 wards to create 20,000 jobs for the youths in the state. The chairman of the committee, Senator Gbenga Obadara, said members should ensure equal representation to achieve motive of the program. The event had in attendance Chief of Staff to the Governor, Alhaji Salis Shuaib, among other eminent personalities and royal fathers present at the occasion. Our reporter Yusuf Gani witnessed the event held at Conference Hotel in Okemoson, Abeokuta.
The Federal Government of Nigeria Special Public Works Program, which is coordinated by the Ministry of Labour and Employment, is part of the federal government's intervention programs and fiscal stimulus measures to help cushion the negative impact of the coronavirus pandemic on Nigerians. Ogun State Selection Committee for the program has therefore deliberated on the modalities on how the 20,000 application forms will be distributed in the 236 wards, with 1,000 per local government, to create employment opportunity for the youth in the state. The chairman of the committee, Senator Gbenga Obadara, says that the committee is committed towards ensuring equal representation of applicants in all local governments.
We have been able to identify who and who that matters, that is the downtrodden, and we have been able to conscientiously work in the interest of Ogun State, because the 20,000 coming to Ogun State, they are not from any other state than Ogun State. So they will be enjoying all the necessary things. It's a 3-month job. The graduates 20%. In every local government for them to go to the grassroots and everything going to the wards. So that is effectively what we will achieve today.
Chief of Staff to the State Governor, Alhaji Shuaib Salih, says the state government is ready to support the committee to achieve its goal.
This program is extremely very important to Ogun State. Remember, whatever interventions that come to Ogun State citizens are going to benefit. And one of the first things this administration did at inception was to dimension the problem of unemployment.